Well, the Indianapolis Colts just got a double dose of good news as it appears that guys are returning back from injury. There's all the buzz. The Colts are currently the talk of the NFL. And there might be some players that might be on the move via some rumors to some very high profile targets. We're going to cover all that and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts. Today, we're talking, obviously, we're not going to cover the QB battle, right? That's over. That's done with. We know the plan. Whether or not you agree or right or wrong, Colts Twitter is in one thing. All the analysts are on another side. Whatever it is, we're not going to cover that today because there's so much more to talk about. There was more to talk about before the QB battle, and there's going to be more to talk about after the QB battle's done. Let's get into it. Now, all of the buzz has obviously been on the QB battle, but what may have slid under the radar is that the Colts have gotten quite a bit of good news in a key position that was plagued with injuries. Now, a couple weeks ago, we talked about Hunter Wohler. We've talked about Juju Brents, Kenny Moore's injury. We talked about Jalen Jones and so many other guys. And it looked pretty bleak. So the Colts brought in Xavier Howard, formerly from the Miami Dolphins, 4-time Pro Bowler, which looked great. I mean, that was a great move. I think that was awesome. I think this is the year that you really hope to see. If this is a team that's going to win, and if they're in win now mode, which I don't know if they are or not, but if they are, it does seem that they're doing everything in their power to actually continue to win games. And they're not tanking by any means. If they are, they're doing a really, really poor job of it, which is possible. But we got some good news in that position field, specifically yesterday and today, as for the first time in well over a month, Juju Brents and Jalen Jones were seen at the practice field today with helmets on, full equipment. They had minimal restrictions. It seemed like they were pretty well good to go and getting back to what would be a normal routine. Well on their road to the recovery. So it definitely seems reasonable that you could expect to see them start the season, or if not, maybe the first few weeks. That's going to be huge, especially against a team like the Dolphins to open up the season, who are going to be, it's just going to be a shootout because that's the Dolphins play style. So if the Dolphins are clicking, you definitely want a healthy backfield. And I think that this is the first step towards that, which is really, really incredible. Jalen Jones and Juju Brents, when healthy, have been two of the better corners on this team, and I think that they have the opportunity now for Juju in year 3, for Jalen Jones in year 3 or 4. I forget Jalen Jones's draft year, but really started budding in the past 2 seasons. Specifically, last season was really playing incredible for what the expectations were. I think between him, Samuel Womack. Obviously, you got Kenny Moore. You've got quite a few other guys that I think the Colts are hoping to see take another step up. And I think Juju Brents and Jalen Jones, again, if healthy, are going to look really, really good. Juju Brents obviously been dealing with injuries his entire career thus far. So this is incredible news, and this is going to bolster a defensive backfield. Again, on the first week of the season, if the Miami Dolphins are all healthy and are humming, it's going to be a defensive battle that is going to have to be won. Otherwise, we know this Colts offense, and we know that what they probably are going to be lacking at this state is going to be the explosiveness. The coaches thus far this week especially have talked about consistency and how important consistency is within this play style with what they want to see going forward. And so it's going to be incredibly important that the Colts to replicate that and are consistent. I think the goal for them is not going to win on explosive plays, but it's going to be to run the football. It's going to be to take it slow and steady, to nickel and dime them down the field, as they say. So that's obviously the first part of the good news, which I think is incredible. And I think that that's going to really, really help new defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, as he now has veterans and young guys to work with as they game plan for not only week 1, but the beginning of the season and this beginning stretch, which is going to be a really challenging one. You've got quite a few really good teams in this first little bit, and I think that honestly, it's going to determine the way the rest of the season is played, and I think it's going to determine one key piece that I want to talk about here, and that is that there are rumors buzzing of one of the Colts' star receivers receiving trade interest. And not only that, but it does seem as though the Colts are at least willing to listen to offers for wide receiver Alec Pierce. Now, Pierce is entering the final year of his contract And for the first 2 seasons, Pierce really slid under the radar. Wasn't really known for his consistency. Kind of had a few drops here and there in key moments. His drop rate wasn't bad, but it seemed like much higher because of the key moments of which he was dropping the football. So now we look at it and we're seeing that Alec Pierce really had a good year in 2024. He averaged an NFL best 22.3 yards per catch in 2024. It does seem as though the Colts might be interested. This is the speculative offer for him would be a 4th-round pick plus cornerback Corey Trice Jr. That comes from the Steelers, analysts that are saying that they quite a bit of interest going for Alec Pierce, and I think that would be interesting. Again, Alec Pierce is a guy that I really like to see if he's healthy. If Adonai Mitchell is able to lock down what he needs to get done, I think that I'd be okay with moving on from Pierce. I think that might not be the worst move in the world, but it would be one that I think could set up this other wide receivers in this room, like Adonai Mitchell, like Anthony Gould, even like obviously tight end, not wide receiver, but like Tyler Warren to get more reps and more playing time. But if Alec Pierce is killing it like he was last season and really just able to get open and be that wide open X receiver, I honestly think you keep him, obviously, and extend him and whatever. But if we start the season and this offer still stands and we're not playing as well, then obviously I think as much draft capital as you can get, and maybe the Steelers start off the season hot and really need to add to that wide receiver room, now missing George Pickens, getting another young guy with a similar play style of that contested catch like Alec Pierce has, might not be, again, the worst thing in the world. But I do think that it's telling that this move is going to be telling of where the Colts view themselves. And I think we can gauge a lot of this based on what is going to happen. Because up until then, obviously, Colts signed Xavier Howard and named Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback. So it looks as though their goal is not to tank. Their goal is not to establish. Their goal is to win games. And if not, it does seem as though it's going to get blown up, much like the Death Star. But I think that the important thing is going to be if the Colts start winning football games, I think that they're going to be buyers and not sellers. I think they're going to try and bring in to win a very winnable division. I mean, the Texans obviously look like they've only improved, but last season they were far from elite. Obviously, Titans were bad enough to get the number 1 overall picks. Jags were nothing to talk about. This is a very winnable division. And I think if the Colts view themselves as being 1 or 2 pieces away from being really good, then you could see them being buyers and obviously holding on to Alec Pierce. But if situations arise and Alec Pierce explodes and you're able to get quite a bit for him, I also wouldn't be too shocked if the Colts end up trading him and getting some capital or some young guys to fill this. I mean, in baseball, it's like the farm system, right? Like if this is the team that is going to bolster up for the future and not for the now, then I would expect for them to trade guys like Kwity Paye and like Alec Pierce. But while we're on the topic of Kwity Paye, we have quite a bit of rumors coming out about the extension that Kwity Paye might be warranted. The numbers coming out right now is going to be in the neighborhood of 4 years, $96 million if the Colts were to extend an offer to Kwity Paye. That would make him one of the highest paid edge rushers in the league. Obviously, you have a separate tier for your Bosas, for your TJ Watt, for your Myles Garrett. They're up here, right? But the regular edge rushers, that would put him at nearly $22 million a year. I think it's like 21.5 or whatever, if my math is right in my head. That would put him very, very high. And I think this season's going to be very telling on if you keep him in this position. Obviously, Colts are now obviously rumored for so many other things, but I think it's very, very telling of how the season goes, whether or not the Colts are going to be in buy now and invest in this team or blow it all up. And I think the first 4 weeks of the season are going to tell us everything we need to know about that.